My name is Maryam Dastmalchian. I am a fashion designer based in Italy. I have my Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Design and my Master's in Fashion Design. And I'm happy to guide you through my project that I have done back in 2018, actually. And I'm going to start with the source of my inspiration, which is the traditional Iranian architecture that is a symbol of the universe in its earthly dimensions. In other words, it's a symbol of creation like a geometric progression. The art of sacred geometry is one of the pillars of Iranian architecture, and in fact, traditional architects used to convey celestial perceptions and proportions to terrestrial buildings, both in terms of pattern and proportion, and also in terms of structural dimensions. So this architecture has always emphasized on beauty and has been able to materialize what is known as the divine beauty and the criterion of aesthetics and creation using repetitive and expandable geometric patterns. In the masterpieces of traditional Iranian architecture, this beauty and the order driven from geometric pattern is quite evident and induces a deeper sense of beauty, which is beyond architecture. The basis of this geometry is circle, which is also a symbol of infinity, by equal division of and constantly changing the ratio of divisions. A circle can be turned into different polygons. From a metaphysical point of view, the division of a circle into all possible equal arcs is a symbol of unity. And three principles that influence the design of these patterns are repetition, rotation, and evolution. And what's more, all these designs can be combined and processed to create complex patterns with a variety of symmetries, including reflection and rotation. These models can be seen as mathematical tessellations, which have the capability of unlimited expansion and present infinity. Such structures, in fact, are algorithms that are the introduction to the geometric patterns of modern algorithmic art, which is being used nowadays in many disciplines like architecture, fashion, industrial design, and so on. We know that architecture and fashion have always been influenced by each other, and that design principles and methods in each field have influenced the other one. Also, the emergence of parametricism in architecture offers a range of diverse methods and possibilities for creating a distinct type of aesthetics. Parametric design, which all know works based on logical and mathematical relationships between numbers and geometries, is actually the logical and variable coding of a geometry that results in the production of new geometries or forms that can be much more complex or different than the original ones. And recently, we see that the parametric design has entered from architecture design into fashion design. And thanks to Stefano Paiochi and Ariane Hakiminejad, lead architects from Zaha Hadid Architect, and their amazing constructed skin workshop in 2016 in Milan, I learned about this. But in fact, the field of fashion, I think, and garment design, which is engaged in its complex and special geometries, has many unlimited capabilities to use this tool, which may not exist in architecture. And due to the instability and constant movement and changing of the human body, the ability to constantly changing positions and forms, a new aspect is being added by this to the design variables that we do not usually see in architecture. the unique and fascinating designs that I said I was inspired by, which are from the Iranian architecture patterns, are always great sources of inspiration for everyone, all designers like me. And I have designed a collection that I am going to show you later. Inspired by these geometries, I use them as the main elements or components in the production of volumes using parametric design. But unlike many other contemporary designers, fashion designers that have used these geometries in their collections in a two-dimensional way, or say the flat patterns like printing on fabrics or engraving on leather or metal or like knitwears, I was concerned to use these geometries as volumes to cover the body, as the architecture itself does, in the form of volume and space, and is like a shelter to the body and protects the body. I wanted to do the same. And in fact, I used the modern algorithmic art and tools to reconstruct and revive the traditional algorithmic art that was created by hand and manual tools. So I am going to go to the design process. And now I am showing you what I have done. Actually, somehow I use code-structed skin method that I told you before. The first step was the selection of some geometric forms as primary elements taken from the patterns used in Iranian architecture. As it can be seen, these geometries, in these geometries, the elements are repeated here. Then each of these elements that I have chosen was processed and amplified by algorithmic software, Grasshopper and Rhino, to arrive at a new pattern. In the method of reproduction of these elements, the pattern of their original reproduction was reserved. I tried to do them concentric, which was before, or horizontal. Then the resulting patterns were printed on paper and folded to find the best volumetric options. I had a lot of try and errors in these parts, and then I found the three-dimensional elements in the volumes after foldings, and the ones that I was satisfied by, I used them as the final patterns. And then the final patterns were laser engraved on the test fabrics and then became folded. And then the mock-ups of the 3D volumetric textures were obtained. So based on these volumetric textures that I found, I could now start designing the outfits. I use them in different parts of the outfit to cover the body. Then I have arrived to the stage that I had to choose the fabric and material for the final ones. And I had the testing designs on different fabrics was done to come up with the right fabric for clothes and three-dimensional parts that must remain rigid. Otherwise, it wouldn't show the forms and the forms would not come out. This was one of the most difficult parts of the project because not every fabric was suitable to form the desired shape, and most fabrics don't have enough strength and rigidity to get the three-dimensional volumes I needed. Now, these are the form finding process. The laser engraving of patterns was done on the final fabrics after all. And after laser cutting, the fabrics became folded, and I had to use stitching or gluing or sewing or some other techniques to keep the folds together and fix them. And in this part, I also had a lot of try and errors. And after doing this, I found the final parts. I reached the final parts of the outfits. In each form, you see that I have done the same process, designing the form in software, then laser engraving. Then I had to add some auxiliary materials and then fold the fabrics. I have to reinforce the fabric in some parts that I needed to be rigid and the folds stay firm. And also in this one, you see, in each one I had to just sew or stitch or glue the forms together so that they remain firm. Then the final pieces that were finished were added to the body of the clothes. Here to the tulle, these ones to the fabric, the same. And that was how they finished. And now I'm going to show you the collection. Each outfit with their source of inspiration is here, these two. Then these ones with their inspiration source, and these two. And I'm going to show some other final images of these collection. That's it. And thank you for your attention. Goodbye.